So what's the best ways to use the Insta360 actually out on your bike in a practical way? Let's have a look. If you haven't watched the first video in this series, have a look at that first before you watch this video, because it's going to give you some information about how to actually mount the X3 and mount it safely. Right, number one is, unless you've got silky smooth roads, don't expect your Insta360 in this position to just stay there. So this position is quite good for short videos, or if you're just doing a short period of filming, you can move it into position, film, and then if it moves, maybe move it back into position afterwards. But don't ride along for a long time leaving it extended. Even if you've got the metal bracket, which I talked about in my last video, but whatever you do, however hard you tighten it, that camera is probably going to move if you go over bumps, especially if you have it extended. So if you're confident at riding one-handed, one of the best ways to use a 360 is just to hold it in your hand and hold it against the bike as you're cycling to get some pretty good shots. As you can see, I'm holding it in my hand at the moment. The selfie stick will be invisible due to the stitching, but you can get some quite nice side shots holding it in your hand as you ride. Or I found, if I extend it a bit further, keeping it on the handlebars as you ride gives you quite a nice view. Okay, so as you can see, we're back inside, and now we're going to start thinking about the actual positioning of the camera itself as opposed to connecting it to the bike. One thing you need to think about is that there will be stitching lines, and although the X3 is pretty good at stitching together the two images it's getting from the two lenses, you will get a bit of distortion in your image around that stitching line. So what I always try to do is, if I know I'm going to be filming in a particular direction, like I want to see to the side of the shot or I want to see ahead, I try to make sure one of the lenses is actually facing that way. So if I was going down the road and I want to video straight ahead, I'll be trying to make sure the lens, or the camera rather, is like that rather than turned round sideways, so the stitching line is going to end up being directly where I want the picture to be. So try to make sure your camera is, or one of the lenses is actually facing the direction you want. And again, if I was filming to the sides, I'd probably have my camera more like that, just for a short shot, and then maybe turn it round and face it a different way later. So that's one thing to be thinking about, where your stitching lines are going to be and how you can best avoid stitching lines in the image. Okay, the second tip is, if you are filming directly in one direction and you know, for example, you're filming down the road or you want the camera to be facing you, I would just use a single lens shot, because the single lens image is a better quality. It's full 4K picture, so you will get a better image if you're happy just to film in that one plane as opposed to a 360 shot you can choose from. And I've found that for, you know, if you're doing a descent down a hill, or if you want to do a bit to camera and you're actually videoing yourself, some of the best shots I've got have been just from a single lens, making sure it's facing in the right direction. So hopefully that might give you some sort of food for thought about how you're actually positioning the camera, and more importantly, the lenses while you're filming. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you found those tips useful, please like the video and subscribe if you can. And if you've got any comments, please leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Thanks.